You're listening to episode 90 of Present Moment. Welcome to Present Moment, Mindfulness, Practice, and Science. I'm Ted Meissner. Present Moment is a podcast with interviews, conversations, and roundtable discussions. We speak with mindfulness teachers about their newest findings published in peer-reviewed science journals, teachers about their understanding and methods as they work with students of mindfulness, authors about their books and interests, and we also speak with everyday practitioners. The website presentmomentmindfulness.com has show notes for each episode along with resource materials. Alex Haley and Alec Gorjestani join us to speak about Offering Tree, their service to create websites, participant registration, and online payments for your mindfulness programs. One of the most challenging aspects of offering mindfulness programs isn't establishing a foundational mindfulness practice, or even progressing through years of training to become a qualified teacher, however difficult those may be. Rather, it's what you're not taught in teacher training, business part. How do you set up a website if you're not particularly tech savvy, or scheduling your classes, or accepting payments? These tasks are more than a little daunting if you don't have experience with them. Today's guests may have an answer for you. Alex Haley is a mindfulness teacher and co-founder of Offering Tree, an online platform for wellness professionals. He hopes that Offering Tree's website features, scheduling tools, and payment functionality will help others to thrive and provide everyone with greater access to wellness. Alec Gorjestani is an engineer who has been writing all kinds of software for 16 years. From automated vehicles to mobile to web software, he likes to build things. Having run a business and with a wife who is a Zumba instructor, Alec understands the unfun tasks that are required and is committed to helping those who want to help people learn wellness. Our guests today are Alec Gorjestani. Alec?
Hi, I'm Alec.
And Alex Haley. Alex, welcome.
Thank you. Hi.
Glad to have both of you here. And we'd like to start by just having each of you tell us a bit about your background. Alec, let's start with you.
Yes, I'm an engineer on the Offering Tree team. Started doing engineering things in just pre-2000. Started out as a mechanical engineer and worked at the University of Minnesota for many years as a transportation researcher. So we did things like autonomous vehicles, safety systems, intersection collision avoidance systems, things of that nature. And learned a lot about software because these days, as an engineer, you need to learn software to interact with hardware. So while there, we wrote a lot of embedded software, but we also started doing some mobile software. And then we split out, and two of my lab mates, Arvind and Eddie, joined me in starting a company to do consulting, software consulting. So we did that for a few years, and that's what we've been doing, and helping other people, mostly with mobile software. And then joined up with a company that we had been consulting with, and now we're working there full time. And we met Alex along that route when we were in the consulting company. Alex actually is a former lawyer by trade, and he helped us, and friends of Eddie. So that's how we met. And then Alex helped us with some legal work that we needed when we were doing our consulting.
Thank you, Alex. Appreciate that. And Alex, how about you?
Yeah, so my background in a nutshell is I've kind of followed two very different paths, and they're now converging a lot through the Offering Tree. my first path was studying economics and business and law. And I was doing that and was very interested just in kind of thought processes and the way that they looked at the world, these different disciplines. But I also had the really good fortune in high school. I had a math teacher who started every calculus lesson with 2 minutes of mindfulness. And that changed the trajectory of my life. And I continued to study and practice when I got to college. And then afterwards, I lived in Asia for a number of years and continued to practice. And so I was following these two paths, one that was kind of very analytical. It was very much in the day-to-day world. And then the other one was very contemplative. I was studying yoga, qigong, meditation. And I always found it puzzling that these two worlds didn't talk to each other, because I often found that they had a lot to learn from one another. They didn't always agree, and they often had very different worldviews. But when they did come together, it seemed like there was a rich sharing and a lot of possibility. And when I was at the University of Minnesota, actually knew Eddie first. He was part of a club that I helped start with another friend. It was called Mindfulness for Students, and it was a club that just met once a week. And so Eddie came to that through a mutual friend in that club. And I reconnected when Alec and Arvin and Eddie were on their own with their company, and I happened to be able to offer some legal help. And so we got together, and as I was sharing a little bit of my own experience both as a teacher and recognizing that as I was doing more and more teaching, which is what I do primarily now, I'm at the University of Minnesota, and I work in a department called the Center for Spirituality and Healing. And so my day job is teaching classes on mindfulness and meditation. I also help with research, and I'm also involved in looking at other initiatives like in the public school system. And as I was just explaining kind of my own journey, Arvind and Eddie and Alec, they said, well, wait a minute, we know how to do this. This is a problem that we know how to solve. And so as we continued, we just connected the dots and we said, well, we think there's actually a larger need here. And we started to meet with a lot of teachers and ask them, and we spent a lot of time listening, and we heard the same themes again and again. And that was the origin of Offering Tree.
That's great. Thank you. And I should mention to the folks who are listening, it's wonderful for me to be able to interview people who are in the Twin Cities, even though I'm not there anymore. So a few names might crop up that we share that are not familiar. I'll apologize for that if it does happen. Alec, I'm going to switch back to you for a few minutes and ask you to talk about what Offering Tree represents to you as someone who's on the development side. What is this like for you?
Yeah, I'm not, I'm a mindfulness practitioner. I do some yoga and I get massages, but that's the extent of it. So I'm interested in learning more about it, but running my own business, I know how hard that is, and I can only imagine that these teachers that may not have a lot of technical skills, that it could be daunting for them to do a lot of these day-to-day businessy type things. And so for me, I get a lot of satisfaction of trying to create something that helps them do what they do and what they love to do, but not having to do so much of the things that they're not good at or they may not be good at and that they probably don't like doing. And I really like the sharing economy and people trying to kind of make their own living. That's what I do, and that inspires me as well.
Thank you very much. And Alex, for you, and maybe you can say a little bit more about what is Offering Tree?
So I'll start a little bit about maybe just saying a few words about Offering Tree. So we actually set it up as a public benefit corporation, and that was an intentional choice. And what it means is that in our founding mission, we had to state what our social benefit was. So if you go look up, what it says and who we are, you'll find that in our organizing documents. And the statement was essentially furthering access and education to wellness. And that's our mission. And so for me, that's what Offering Tree is. It's a way to be able to provide greater accessibility, greater education around wellness in all of its forms. And the primary way that I see that we do that we serve that mission is first by being able to simplify as much as we can all of the administrative, all of those tasks that aren't teaching, that are the headaches that I know as a teacher that I know that I have to do them. And I know that it takes a lot of time and it takes energy, so that when I'm actually teaching, I then am often feeling as though I don't have as much energy that I can, provide to the class or the students, because I might have been struggling with all these other technology, or, how do I administer this, and how do I keep track of my expenses? And it can be a lot. So for me, that's what Offering Tree is. It's a way to be able to hopefully provide a simple, easy solution that helps lower stress and anxiety and allows you to do more of what you love, which is teach, which then ultimately benefits everybody. And the other piece I'd say is that we also, as part of our public benefit status, is we hold these events for the public. So we actually held one where it was a yoga in the park. It was completely free. We had one of our teachers come out, and we partnered with a local yoga studio called Yoga Soul, and they brought one of their instructors, and it was just an incredible event. And so we're going to be doing more of those, and that's another way that we directly serve that mission of furthering access and education to wellness.
And then, Alex, staying with you, I wanted to ask a little bit about your primary customers so far have been yoga teachers, and it seems you're growing a bit more into mindfulness. Is that correct?
Yeah, we started a lot we interviewed teachers in a lot of different areas: fitness, coaching, yoga, meditation, mindfulness. And when we initially launched, we really were looking at yoga teachers and yoga instructors. And what we actually found was that our most receptive audience was actually mindfulness teachers. And so if we look at the growth that we've recently had, and we just only recently launched, we actually launched on April 1st, which I find pretty funny. I like those days that we launched. I think that's great. It's like, no joke. No, we're going on. And we found that actually after that, most recently what's happened is we've gotten a huge influx of mindfulness teachers. So I would say actually our primary user base is mindfulness teachers.
And Alec, I'm curious, as an old IT guy, what you have found as one of the more interesting technical challenges that the team needed to solve and work on.
Yeah, we found that our goal really technically and through user experience kind of study, and we hired some user experience consultant to help us, was to try to make it easy to use. And that's kind of hard for an engineer because they're great at making stuff and they make stuff work, but they are horrible at making stuff easy to use in general. And so that's been the biggest challenge, is really focusing on making as simple and intuitive as possible, and actually doing more by doing less, trying not to add that extra button and switch and make things overly complicated and too many choices. So yeah, for us, that's been the biggest technical challenge, is actually trying to make it simple and easy to use.
Yeah, I wanted to extend some appreciation on doing that, because I run into that a great deal as an old IT guy, that we might be able to code beautifully, but really thinking of what does this mean to the end user is something we tend to miss. And user experience, it's usually the last consideration if it's in there at all. So thank you very much for doing that. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, and actually we did it the opposite. That was our first thought. And the first thing we did was hire a user experience expert and get the user experience design before we even wrote a line of code. So
good. So Alex, what has the response been? What's it been like?
Yeah, I'd say we're really enthusiastic about the initial response that we've gotten, because what we've done so far is we've announced what we're doing mostly through the networks that we're connected to. So I'm connected pretty strongly to different mindfulness communities and meditation communities. And one of our colleagues, Katie Sullivan, is really connected in the yoga space. And then we're finding other ways to get connected to other communities. And so what we've been doing is we've been announcing it through these networks. And just from announcing it through these networks, we've been getting a tremendous interest. And our biggest hope right now is that we're trying to get feedback. We really want feedback. We want to know, is it useful? What are we missing? What would you love to have? It's like, this is so painful, but I really wish it could do this. And we've been really lucky because we've had a number of people that have just reached out. They'll just send an email or a note to our hello at offeringtree.com email address. And they'll say, I'm just curious, is there any way that it might be able to do this? And we said, well, it doesn't do it now, but we're going to add it to our list and we're going to look at it and see if we can make it do that. So we're really interested in getting feedback at this point. And we've been really, really enthusiastic about what we've seen so far, just in the interest from this kind of informal announcement that we've been doing.
And I'm curious, staying with you for a bit, Alex, what you would like to see happen in mindfulness, it being one of the key threads in your professional and personal life, and just wellness in general. What would you like to see happen?
Yeah, my hope, my aspiration is that it really becomes a skill and a kind of like in my own experience. I happened to have the good fortune to learn it when I was in high school, and it changed the trajectory of how I live my life and where I choose to spend my energy and what I do, and even how I relate to the world and other people, and even myself. And I really hope that Offering Tree in some way is able to serve that kind of that aspiration, that it is a benefit to providing more accessibility, to providing greater education in all these different areas. I alluded to earlier, we're doing some work right now in the public school system, and it's no surprise. I mean, there's a tremendous funding challenge. And so we're already looking at creative ways to try to, how can we make this thing scalable? How can we make it work? And it's no surprise we landed in technology. So even inside of the university, which is separate from what I'm doing outside, kind of in my personal time with Offering Tree, we're still coming back to, wait a minute, technology may be a key piece in being able to deliver this in a way that is accessible and that can work even when there's not a lot of funding or there's other restrictions.
Thank you, Alex. And Alec, how about you? Is there anything you want to share with listeners? Maybe something you're eager that might be coming up or that you're looking forward to as Offering Tree grows?
I think, as Alex said, we're number one looking for feedback, and because our goal is to build something people want to use and love using, and that's always the number one goal. Something like this is it has to be just a joy to use and help people out, and then they'll use it. And in addition to that, and kind of piggybacking what Alex said, is we have all these features on our roadmap, but one of them that I think is interesting is once you get enough people on the platform, they can help share content and create content. And we're hoping to create maybe a learning place where people can come and learn more about meditation and maybe get interested in it. So that's what I'm looking forward to in the future.
Great. Thank you very much. So for those who are listening to this episode, you can find out more on the website, which is linked on the episode page for this episode, offeringtree.com. Our guest today, Alec Gorjestani. Alec, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And Alex Haley. Alec, thanks you as well.
Well, thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening. If you'd like to learn more about something you've heard in today's podcast, please come visit the website at presentmomentmindfulness.com. You'll find an entire webpage devoted to this and every episode. You can comment on the episode page and find show notes and other helpful resources for your mindfulness practice. The shakuhachi music heard on Present Moment is used by permission and through the generosity of musician Rodrigo Rodriguez. His website is linked on the Present Moment website on the About Podcast Music page. Sound editing, mixing, and mastering provided by the generosity of Anthony Dominello of StructureFromSound.com. Until next time, remember, every moment you have a choice. Make it the best you can. See you next time on Present Moment.